peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Ladies and gentlemen, across the globe, in Africa, on the African continent, there are quite a number of stories that are taking shape, a number of things that have gone wrong. Our continent is full of conflicts. Our continent suffers from all the types of obstacles that have been heaped on it. This afternoon, we want to look at one of the many causes of why Africa remains the breeding ground for conflicts. Which countries in Europe are the ones which countries in Europe bring conflicts on the continent of Africa? Stay tuned with us. But first of all, let's begin with this video from one of the few Africans who has described the problems of Africa as conflicts. Where do they come from? Are we people who create conflicts ourselves? Is the creation of conflicts on the continent of Africa part of us, or it is a foreign instigated conflict, inspired, engineered, supplied conflict? Listen to this.
Our people must know the truth and nothing but the truth. France remains as a member of the UN Security Council. And yet France today remains one of the biggest perpetrators of human rights violations in Africa. And everybody is giving it, the world is giving it a blind eye. United Nations. It is a body that's supposed to be the watchdog for human rights violations. France remains the biggest risk to peace and security in Africa today. And nobody is talking about it. France did something absolutely deplorable. Made the former colonies, because they still are colonized, sign a document which they called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. Dig this. On one hand, we're giving you your independence, but on the other hand, sign this document that you are agreeing to continue to be colonized. So two countries said, no way, Jose. We aren't doing this, Guinea and Mali. The French could not understand it. How could an African country dare not want to be affiliated with France? So in their anger, history tells us that they went into those two countries, took everything that they thought they had brought, proceeded to pour concrete into the sewage pipes, completely devastating the two economies. This was also done as a way of letting the other countries know that should you refuse to sign this document, this is the fate that awaits you. So the rest of the country signed the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization remains in place. What is special about this? The Pact for the Continuation of Colonization said, 1, you shall deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the French Central Bank under the control of the French Minister of Finance. The French government will take all your monies collectively. People must know the truth and nothing but the truth. France remains as a member of the UN Security Council. You've given up control of your natural resources. You've given up your military. What power do you have? Today, because of the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, France alone, that little bitty country, is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. over $500 billion. And by the time they finish investing that money into the French stock market, they're realizing trillions of dollars in any given year. Park that. The watchdogs for corruption are saying out of Africa, 50 billion gets out of the continent from corruption. The question I have is, why has it been so difficult for us as Africans to say enough is enough? How long are we going to keep watching this carnage go on and we say nothing? It goes back to the mind. It goes back to that fear. It goes back to that sense of inferiority. And I go back to the diagnosis I made when I went to Washington, that until we black people understand that we are suffering from the legacy of colonization, that we are suffering from the legacy of slavery, that while we may have lost the shackles of in our legs and our hands, the shackles of the mind continue. Until we realize that we are a wounded people and we need healing, nothing about our circumstances is going to change. We are sick people. But to be sick, first you must realize and accept that you're sick. How do you go to the doctor if you don't think you're sick? We are not only in the doctor's waiting room on an outpatient basis. We are not even in the hospital in a general ward. As black people, we are in the intensive care. And we need to realize that. The baby is now born. And her name is the African Continental Free Trade Area. You see, the children of Africa must realize that now we need diapers, we need formula. There are going to be sleepless nights. This baby is going to cry. This baby is going to throw tantrums. We need to be ready to take care of this baby. Africa is on the move. The question is, are the children of Africa ready to step up and take what is rightfully yours? You got to understand, around the globe, as black people, the reason we are so disrespected is because we are poor. Most of us don't own anything. Singularly, while we were given our independence, the one thing that was denied from us is economic liberation. The African heads of states are saying, African wealth belongs to the African children. The African Union defines African diaspora as all people of African descent living outside Africa. The colonizers have been building the Africa that they want. The game is up. You see, you don't go to China and find black people driving the Chinese development agenda. You don't go to Europe. You don't go to Mexico, India, and find black people driving those regions' development agenda. The reality is, you must not, cannot, should not, and golly, will not go to Africa and find non-Africans driving the African continental development agenda. Unless, of course, you, the children of Africa, the inheritors of Africa's wealth, choose to vacate that place that has your name. The choice is yours. The environment is ready. And so, I'm on a mission to see to it that we, people of African descent, truly understand our Africa, truly realize that we have been lied to, but that we're smart enough to know better, that we have been sleeping, that it's time to wake up. You see, a united African diaspora is a sleeping giant. It is the sleeping giant that is needed to bring the sustainable change that Africa desires. Bigger corruption in Africa is coming from outside. Try flying low over the DRC. You're going to see tarmacs in the middle of the jungle. You're going to see 747s flying into the DRC, picking up minerals and flying right outside the country. Do you think those multinationals are going to want to see peace in the DRC? Do you think they're going to want to see peace in South Sudan? No. A stable Africa is an Africa that cannot be exploited. So they will see to it that there will never be peace in Africa by any means necessary, unless you come to the table and do something about it. For a continent that doesn't have a single gun manufacturing company, we simply have endless supply of guns. How? How is this okay that Africa continues to be exploited? And how is it okay that the world has watched as France is taking cold, hard cash out of Africa? How is this okay? I want to know. United Nations, answer that. Secretary General Guterres, answer that. When you all meet every year in New York, what are you talking about? That is our reality. No more shall we continue to be ignorant. Our eyes are open. We know our Africa. We are going to reconnect with our roots. African Americans, you must understand there is a void that is deep in each and everyone's subconscious. It is a void that affects everything you do. First, you must understand you have that void. In this country, with the exception of the American Indians, everybody is a foreigner. And everybody has their roots outside the United States. And the rest of the races are connected to their roots, with the exception of the African Americans. You're too busy running away from your roots. You're busy denying who you are. Well, guess what? It is what it is. You are an African, and Africa is home. And the sooner you wake up and realize and accept that Africa is home, the sooner you're going to fill that void. For as long as that voice is in you, you're always going to be like a ship without an anchor. The wind blows this way, here you go. The wind blows the other way, here we go. Find your base. Go home. Africa is where you belong. And Africa is where your roots are. Thank you.
We stand alongside you and we support your mission and your fight. Please accept this as a small token of our appreciation. Thank you.
But as I began to make a diagnosis, I analyzed the situation, and my final assessment was that the ignorance that the world has about Africa is the disease that I must fight. So I set out to have a plan, and I began implementation. Because it is only when that disease is treated, it is only then and only then can we embark on a true healing path for Africa and her children. The African Continental Free Trade Area is creating an economy that's $3 trillion with a workforce intra-Africa of 1.27 billion. An environment that you can spread and grow your business like wildfire from one country to the other. The borders that have kept us from trading with each other as African countries are in the process of being melted as we speak.
Viewers, you have listened to my colleague, my fellow fighter, my fellow Pan-African fighters. You have listened to my colleague, my fellow fighter, You have seen for yourselves the obstacles, the challenges, the impediments that have been put across on the continent of Africa, both internal and external. You have seen for yourselves what makes Africa go back. You've seen for yourselves from that speech that we in Africa encourage divisions. A free trade, a united Africa is a sleeping giant and a shock for the next generation. Are we united in Africa? We can't be united in Africa. Each African leader wants to look at his nation as his. Very many people are discriminated upon. We have very bad behavior in the continent of Africa. People abduct people, go to other countries and abduct people, take them to stand trial. The question of Nnamdi Kanu, just taken out through a mafia system that came from all the way from Nigeria. It took this guy. Was he? What was he? He was agitating for freedom of his people. We have regimes of that nature. Because the case is in Kenya and the case is in the courts of Kenya, we cannot discuss the merits. Some of you people on this platform have been asking us whether we should discuss. We wanted to discuss the matter openly. We are not Buhari's surrogates. Neither do we feed from Buhari. Neither do we know what transpired. But when it resurfaced, we were sorry. We didn't know what was going on, what Nnamdi Kanu was doing in Kenya. We didn't know. We didn't even know he was in Kenya. And I don't need, I have explained to the family of Nnamdi Kanu, to the brother has understood me, and the inner senior core members of IPOB who know me for a long time. I have been working, fighting for the people of Biafra without even knowing who their leader was. And I will continue to do that. But is the Africa there? Across the continent of Africa, the same thing is happening. In Nigeria, but there is one peculiar obstacle that Africa is always facing: external darker forces. Darker forces that come here to create wars. The darker forces that created the 1966-67 war of Biafra versus the government of Yakubu Gowon versus Ojukwu. There were, of course, forces that were supplying, equipping arms to both sides. Those forces have never left Africa. Those forces are still here, engaged in Africa, trying to wrestle out. You think the Delta region of Nigeria, which has oil, which if used properly, would any Nigerian talk of poverty? No. But there's nobody. The same forces are the ones drilling the oil, taking it out of Delta region of Nigeria. I want to agree with Madam who spoke, my colleague, that the biggest impediment for Africa is the chaos that is planted into Africa by the same forces that have dismembered Africa. And one of the countries that has hijacked the agenda for Africa is France. joining me now across the bridge to discuss, France has all the time been behind the military coups that we see in Mali, in Guinea, in Chad. They killed leaders in Chad. They killed the president of Chad. Then came back to install the son. They maimed the father, brought the son to be in Chad. France has come and captured the African Union. We see the war in Ethiopia. We are helpless. We can't stop Ethiopia from breaking to pieces. A stronger economy in the Horn of Africa is dying slowly, brick by brick, collapsing under the hammer, auspices of America and France and other powers that have instigated a chaos because of the fight between Chinese and Americans on the building of the dam that is being fueled by Ethiopia. Slowly, regime change tactics are moving slowly towards the delivery of a regime change in Ethiopia. A violent regime change hovers over Ethiopia as we sit here. Democratic Republic of Congo is a sick child of Africa. I've said yesterday and I continue to say today, sending troops in Congo is a waste of time. But reassembling Congo is the usage of time. Let Africa reassemble two countries on this continent. Reassemble Congo and reassemble Nigeria. Give Nigeria a new format. Let Biafrans and other people form their state. And let Congolese have several states. The country is as huge as Europe, twice, 3 times bigger than Europe. And you are an African, you are seated there saying you are doing peace talks in Congo. What are you doing in Congo? You are simply building good roads that will be destroyed by terrorists. Who sponsors these terrorists? The rebels in Congo are trading in timber, which is wanted by China. Millions and millions of tons of timber is being cut. Our climate is being destroyed. And this timber passes, goes to the ships while we are watching. The only way to get Africa, as Madame has said, is to unite and stop France from stealing our hard-earned currency of $5 billion per annum, putting it on the stock exchange in Paris, and later on trade how many billions they get and give us peanuts. It is a sad story for Africa. It is ignorance. If you don't treat it, Africa will never be the same. Let me bring me right now Tawish Samuel Olisana across in Narok. Good afternoon, my brother Tawish.
Good afternoon to you, Dr. David Masanga. Good afternoon to all our viewers watching this program in Africa and the rest of the world. My pleasure to join you, Dr.
I don't know whether you are hearing me.
Sure, Dr. Sure.
So thank you very much, Tawish. Ignorance, void, $5 billion taken away every annum, per annum by France. Hard-earned money, keeping Africa on conflicts. That is the summary of the speech of Madame Dr. friend of mine from the US. We have struggled for this continent. What else can we do? 2 countries on the continent ashame us. Nigeria ashames us. Buhari presides over a collapsing economy, presides over human rights abuses that take place, the killings of other tribes by the predominant smaller tribe of Fulani from the north, the slaughter of civilians on a daily basis, rendition of opponents. Is the problem of Nigeria political solution? Yes. Does it need a political solution? Yes. Nigeria does not need rendition of opponents. Nigeria does not need killings of people. It needs a political solution. How then do we stop France from multiplying and bringing more and more difficulties? It has captured the AU, Tawish.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ari, and thanks so much for the remarks you've made. Indeed, Dr. Masanga, the challenges that we are facing as a continent are enormous. And the only way, and I think first of it all, to be able to address these challenges and the coming in of France, I think it's about our ability or our independence. I think we are not quite independent when it comes to matters finances. And more often we look onto the Western world to come and be able to give us aids, to give us donations. And in that way, Dr. Masanga, they say he who pays the piper, of course, you know what happens. And when you look into the situation in Africa today, there's no way we can run away from these Western power countries who are coming masquerading as people who want to help us out of the situations that we are in, when in the first place they are the ones who have made us to be in those problems. You have given a case of Nigeria as we speak today. How come that Nigeria up to date has not seen that peace? How come that the people, of course, the agitation by the Igbo people can never be listened to by the president of that country, that is Buhari? The simple reason, Dr. Masanga, is because the external forces have invaded this country. They've managed to divide the people along right in the middle. And those people cannot agree as long as, of course, there's that external hand. And they will always, of course, rejoice in that disagreement and, of course, push and pull by the people and the leadership who are agitating, who feel like they are disenfranchised, people who feel like they're marginalized, people who feel like they have nothing to take pride of in a country that is so wealthy, a country that is full of oil. And Dr. Masanga, when you speak about oil, you know, and France with the interest it has when it comes to the oil industry. So it is basic knowledge, Dr. Masanga, that in as much as we want to, we are agitating and advocating for our independence, quote unquote, that we are able to run our own affairs in this continent of Africa, we must be in a position to galvanize and speak about the unity of the African continent, the dream of Kwame Nkrumah, the dream of course, the Libyan president was killed. You remember, these are people who wanted the unity of the African continent. They wanted the one currency. They wanted people to do free trade in the African continent. Today, the continent of Africa would have been truly free, would have been truly independent, will be in a position, will be a very big economic giant in the whole world as we speak today, because it has the best of soils. It has the best of manpower. It has the potential really to grow. But because of this inability for us to unite as a continent, Kenya is fighting with Somalia. Uganda is fighting with Rwanda. You're finding today Eritrea and Ethiopia cannot see eye to eye. You can see what is happening between Uganda and DR Congo on the other side. You can see what is happening in Central African Republic, and so many of such examples of Masanga. So the moment we start talking about the unity of the African continent, that is the moment we'll begin really addressing and finding solutions to the problem that we are finding. They say united we stand, divided we fall. And I think that is the predicament that we find ourselves as a people of this continent today, Dr. Ari. I submit.
Thank you very much, Tawish. We recognize that in Nigeria, there are efforts as we speak right now for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank the senior Igbo leaders, those who stood and who met President Buhari in an effort to have him released, so that we can come back to a political solution rather than judicial solution. A judicial solution won't help Nigeria at all. You will only dismember Nigeria further by incarcerating Nnamdi Kanu into jail and leaving him there. So the problem is Nnamdi Kanu needs to be released and allowed to speak, to dialogue, to sit on a round table, to make sure that they come out and iron out the differences that Nigeria has. Whatever differences that which are very clear, that Nigerians, some of them, Biafrans say they want to opt out, they want a referendum, they want a new nation. That is a welcome decision. That's some of the news coming in right now from Nigeria. And then we have, as we speak, we have other news that have just come in. We have in Somalia, we have Al-Shabaab said to kill radio director in Somalia on revenge basis. This is going on. These are some of the conflicts that we talk about that still put Africa, push it back to the old stone age. We have also some news coming in from Addis Ababa, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia. And as I said this morning, there is one hope that why did it happen? I want everybody across the continent of Africa to look back to say what would you say when you look back and say, why did this happen to me? These are some of the dividends of looking back. Ethiopian diaspora were staged a serious solidarity meeting calling upon the nations across the world to unite and give Ethiopia a long-lasting unity of purpose. Other news that come in from the mediation, as I said much earlier, the diaspora dispatches have picked mistrust in negotiations, in the peace deals. I told you Obasanjo, Obasanjo was going nowhere. And everybody, people thought that I hate Obasanjo. I talk the truth. I don't hide. And that's why I've lived here. I have never harmed a fly. Neither have I ever told anybody or conspired. But I tell the truth. That truth set me free one day. And I'm happy that the developments about Nnamdi Kanu are coming out in a way that one day Nnamdi Kanu will tell the whole world that the most able man, the best man who ever brought out the question of the people of Biafra is Dr. Masanga. And he will tell it directly because I never knew what he was doing. I didn't know where he was. If I had known that he was in Kenya, I would have not interviewed him. I regret why I interviewed him, but I don't regret why I've been fighting for the people of Biafra. I will continue to fight for them until they have independence. Even if I don't live there, until they come to a table to talk about the peace of Nigeria, to talk about the peace, the coexistence. If they want to get out, they get out. But that is not use other methods to destroy and kill people. That is another thing that has happened. And as we talk, we move around, several things are coming up now that are pleasing so many people. It is, therefore, our aim as we come to a conclusion, Tawish, that we take the message of Madam Dr. Chikwakwamba of Zimbabwe. We take her message. We take a message of Pan-Africans like us, like her, who have been talking. We talk about, we don't just come to talk on this television, but we talk with purpose. Africa needs to unite. Africa needs to sit down and arrange itself. Africa does not have an arrangement. Africa has a disaster of arrangement. Africa kills itself on a daily basis. Africa is not the one that can solve the problems. Every time they increase more and more problems for their own people. Tawish, make your final comments. This is very encouraging news on the diaspora dispatches that we are having negotiations taking place between Biafra and Buhari for the sense of releasing Nnamdi Kanu to come back on a table, and they can set conditions. Take it away from me.
Thank you, Dr. Ari. Indeed, I agree with you 100%. That what we need, for instance, in Nigeria today is not more of retributive, but restorative justice. One which is not based on vendetta. One which is not based on settling scores between President Buhari and the people who are agitating for a referendum, especially the Igbo people. And I will also want to, of course, challenge or rather petition President Buhari that it is important at this particular time, now that is ceding ground and finding it sensible, really to have a talk or rather discussion and dialogue with the Igbo people. He must, without condition, really consider releasing, of course, Nnamdi Kanu, because again, it is a defeatist really to have engagement or to have any talks when you have the leader of these people really still behind bars. That doesn't really make sense. I think the best way forward will be first and foremost really to let Nnamdi Kanu out. But I think that's a step in the right direction. I've never seen, ever since this agitation and began, President Buhari really getting to the levels of and listening to the grievances that the Igbo people are raising. Generally, on the African continent, Dr. Masanga, Africa really still has the potential to rise big, and that can only happen if we stop killing of our fellow, of course, Africans. If we stop the displacement of fellow Africans. If we stop of course, the petty enmity between nations or neighboring countries. I think when we stop these small and petty wars, we will be making a statement not only to the entire African continent, but we'll be making a statement globally that Africa is getting mature with time and it can be able to take care of its own affairs. Unless that happens, Dr. Masanga, we will continue to wail in poverty, we'll continue to wail in a lack of good governance, we'll continue to have these fights, and even terrorists really taking advantage of the situation that is in the African continent today. Because how many people are patriotic enough, even patriotic to your own country, patriotic to your own continent, to a point you can be able even to report some suspicious activities or suspicious individuals even to the authorities as we speak today. So sometimes we feel like it is not our responsibilities, but when we fail at our individual capacity, then largely we'll be failing as a country and as a continent. So we have that opportunity, Dr. Masanga, really to rise. And the masqueraders in form of the Western power countries who come in form of purportedly they want to help us will never find that leeway. They will never find a loophole to manipulate and exploit us. I submit, Dr. Ari.
Thank you very much. I have seen several messages here from Nikki Mugufi, our friend, colleague. You should have joined us today. You are saying exactly what I have said. On the question of Nigeria, split it faster. Let's rearrange Nigeria. There's no shortcut there. On Congo, DRC Congo, I agree with you. It needs a rearrangement. Nigeria can need a rearrangement. And they can do it themselves. I welcome the new move by Buhari to allow the discussion about the matter of Nnamdi Kanu, because he broke all the international obligations, all the international norms. He rendated this guy who is not a national of any of the nations where he is being taken. He was rendated, taken back. So he is under pressure from international agencies and other pressure groups to have this man released and give him conditions of release, go home to agitate peacefully on a table for the people to stop the healings, the killings, the destruction that are taking place. We therefore know that the biggest enemy of our continent still remains the biggest country that has colonized us and continue to colonize us, the French. They take $5 billion per annum, hard cash, hard earned money, back to Paris. Then they put it on the stock exchange, and then they give us peanuts. That is the sad story of Africa. Thank you very much, viewers. Those who have been watching us right across the globe and taking your time, thank you very much. We continue doing so. Let's meet again tomorrow at 3 p.m. East African on the Diaspora dispatches, and very early in the morning on Diplomatic Leaks, where we shall look at topical issues that surround our continent and the country Kenya. Goodbye. I'm Dr. Masanga, and with me on the panel was Samuel Tawish. Ole Sana, thank you from Narok in Kenya. God bless you. This station is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa. Ciao.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.